It's cool, isn't it? Yes. I like it.
Call the meeting to order. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. The next agenda item is the election of the committee chairman and vice chairman on an annual basis. So this is the election for the next year.
Not it.
So, do I hear nominations?
Can we nominate people in absentia when they're not here?
I know.
Right.
So one thing
Go
one
ahead.
thing to keep in mind is that the Chamber of Commerce has not appointed anybody to fill Brack Reed's position on the committee, so that is a vacant position. So there's nobody from the Chamber that can serve as chairman or vice chairman.
So,
And then we also have to keep in mind, because this is the end of our term.
right.
So,
And I don't know what my life looks like.
So how does that work traditionally when you're at the end of the council term?
I'm not sure I've ever
We were hoping you would keep us in line on this one.
because we didn't know if it could be elected this, but then also changed at the next meeting if needed.
Yeah, I think that probably is possible. Certainly someone always has the right to decline a nomination. We could also just leave an office open. Like what happens if nobody is elected to the chair or vice chair position is just that a majority of a quorum at the next meeting would have to elect one to be acting chair for that particular meeting. So.
well, you will have two council members, because that's one of the first things we do when we come back, actually, as the new.
Maybe the chamber will have its act together by then. Who knows? So,
Ms. Bates, are you coming back?
Yeah, my term is for two more years, right?
Okay.
I'm going to hang around for a while.
How would you like to be chair?
Right, and you'll have the vice mayor. Right. Yeah.
But he also may turn around.
he's subject to election,
Yes.
but yes.
And I will nominate Mr. Bates if you want to do it as chair.
I will be happy to do it.
I'll second that.
Aye.
All in, okay, any opposed?
So we can leave the vice chair empty for now?
I think we can. I mean, if no one's willing to serve, like I said, you have the right to decline the nomination. Or ask your colleagues not to nominate you in the first place, I guess. And
Well, willing to serve sounds like strong language. It's just, it's an election year, just waiting for the next batch of votes.
yeah, you could certainly, I guess you could nominate the vice mayor in his absence. I don't know if he's willing to serve or not.
Thoughts on that? Leave it open, or?
I think we just leave
I
it
think we
open.
leave it open.
Yeah.
And we're within legal bounds to do that, correct?
I think it's okay, yeah.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Bates.
Is for any reason not able to make it to a meeting, but you do have a quorum, like the other four of you would have to elect someone to be acting chair during that meeting, since there's not a vice chair just able to step into that role.
Okay.
All right, now we'll move on then to new business, and we're going to have our folks from Crosland here to share some information with us.
We've got 3 items to go through, actually. We've got a couple items to finish up the June 30, 2022 audit. So we have our management letter of recommendation. Then we are going to mention the single audit for 2022. And then finally, we're going to go over the June 30, 2023 year-end plan. Katie?
Great. Okay, I'll go through the fiscal year 22 single audit report first. I'm going to skip ahead to the schedule of findings and question costs on page 31, because that's a nice summary of everything before that. Yeah, it's the blue.
That's the one that's found.
31.
report that's in this document is our report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance and other matters, which is required under government auditing standards. In that report, we did not identify any material weaknesses. We did identify 2 significant deficiencies, which are included as findings 1 and 2 that I'll get to next. And then we did not identify any non-compliance material to the financial statements. The next report that's in this document is our report on internal control over the major programs and the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So we did not have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies on the major programs that were audited, and our report on compliance for the major federal programs was unmodified. So that's what you want it to be. On the next page of that, you can see our major programs for the year, which is a pretty lengthy list. In total, it was 12 major programs. Some of those were because they were programs that were identified as higher risk in the compliance supplement, so we were required to test those as major since they met the threshold for a Type A program. And then others were because they hadn't been tested as major programs in the previous 2 years. So some of that was just rotation timing, some of that was what was in the compliance supplement. And then Metro for fiscal year 22 did qualify as a low-risk auditee, which just means we only have to get 20% coverage of the CFA expenditures in this particular instance. Because we had so many major programs, we achieved well over that. So the next section is the findings that we had. So the first finding is one of the significant deficiencies it related to Department of Water and Sewerage Services accounts receivable reconciliation. Essentially, there was billing software error where it wasn't being reconciled to the general ledger and required a restatement to beginning that position for fiscal year 22. The second related to Metro Nashville Public Schools grants receivable and reimbursements. Essentially, and we've just talked about this previously, so I'm not going to go into major detail, but this related to the ESSER grant where there were certain expenditures that weren't requested for reimbursement timely. And then the last finding that's in this is in here because it's required by the Tennessee Comptroller's Office to be included, and that was related to trustee department theft that was identified, 2 separate instances, one for $900 and one for $1,000. And again, that's in here because the Tennessee Comptroller's Office requires us to include it. And then following that, you can see some of the prior year audit findings, which there were none for fiscal year 21 for us to report on. And then after that is management's corrective action plan on those items. Any questions on any of those pieces that you want me to go into more detail on?
So there is, and I know I ask this every time, about no auditing of the operations. You basically are just auditing the processes that are related to finance.
Yeah, and what's covered in this report specifically is we primarily are auditing the schedule of federal expenditures, and we audit what's considered to be a major program. We audit compliance with the under uniform guidance for each program, and that the expenditures are for the purpose that they're supposed to be. Any other compliance requirements that may be designated, such as cash management or sub-recipient monitoring, that sort of thing.
So I've had a constituent reach out to me because they are paying stormwater fees, but Metro Water is telling them that the problem that they're having with stormwater, they need to fix it as a resident. So how does that work?
That's an operational matter, like you said.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that's not really under our purview,
Well, considering that you are looking at the expenditures that they are, expending, and you're collecting the monies, but they're not actually expending the funds on perhaps all of the things that they need to be repairing.
So this is really for grants. Like this particular document that we're looking at today is really for a lot of grants that are received from the federal government as well as the state. It sounds
So
like
does anyone audit the fees that's collected?
That would fall under when we issued the act for earlier, or I guess later last year, that would fall under that financial statement audit. And we do audit the fees. ever actually audited that specific instance. I don't remember it. I probably didn't know about it, but it would have been subject to our auditing during the financial statement audit.
Because-
This is just federal and state.
I mean, reason why I was specifically asking, because I received a call and had the discussion with her, but it's several people in that same community that are having the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we can say is that they are spending the money on those types of, on those expenses are related to those types of issues. Whether they're getting to all of them and whether, there are some that they're not, that's kind of outside, what we would be able to determine, whether they're getting every user of water, every constituent to their problem. That wouldn't be really a financial matter. Are they spending the monies they are spending for those things? Yes, but are they getting to everybody and taking care of everybody? That's not something we could really tell.
I'm from the water department. I'm Amanda Deaton-Moyer. I'm the assistant director for business and finance. And I think it would be interesting for us to look at that specific case and see if it's not necessarily a financial issue, but a notion of private property versus public property and what those types of the right-of-way situation. There are a lot of variables that go into what happens with each of those because those fees go into a process for a prioritization, and we do have numerous projects that are stormwater related that we spend those dollars on, and that's where these guys come in and say, yes, you did in fact spend them on the things you said you were going to spend them and what was budgeted for that purpose. But if you'd like to, we can get...
Well, I did. I sent a letter of interest.
I know Tom is always good to see those things and help you with that.
Okay, thank you. And also, what was the position? Did anything happen with the individuals that in the trustee's office?
So the nature of how the money went missing was determined to be undeterminable. Internal audit
We did an investigation of that. Because of the lack of controls around cash handling within the trustee's office, we could never determine what the reason was. We weren't sure, and Seth will talk about the follow-up a little bit later, but what happened was we couldn't determine who touched the money, and there wasn't camera footage or anything to tell us where it went missing. So instead, what came out of that investigation was inconclusive. I believe during the process, the trustee had put some people on administrative leave and to try and figure it out. But what came out of it was more just recommendations on how to keep it from happening and how to keep both the employees safe from being accused of something they didn't do, but also to protect the cash that's within that office. And she was very, very proactive in making sure that those were all.
Yeah, I think I recall reading it. Thank you.
On the public school grant receivable, part of the corrective action says that it was determined that they could still collect those funds. Have those actions been implemented to pursue that collection?
Yes.
I've seen lots of heads nod.
Yes.
Sean is here with NMDS.
Yes, that has all happened. We have moved those expenses that were ultimately determined we weren't going to be able to seek reimbursement. We moved those off the business unit to a local expense. We have then moved expenses for this fiscal year over to ESSER to make up that hole, that $21.6 million, if I'm not mistaken, that $21.6 million hole. And so that's been moved, and we've also received budget approval from the state concurrently for those new expenses that were moved over as well. So we are all, as far as we're concerned, it's a closed book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the single audit report? Thank you.
All right.
Will you remind me, don't they vote to accept?
So we can do the exception now, or you can wait until the end. It's either way.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the scheduled expenditures of federal and state awards and reports?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That report is accepted.
The second document is this stapled document, which is our letter of recommendations to management. It would include, if we had material weaknesses, those would be included in this. We didn't have any for 2022. This also includes the significant deficiencies, which were the two that I mentioned as the first two findings in the single audit report. And then we had two other comments for overall improving operations and controls, which those two related to timely preparation of bank reconciliations. There were a few that we tested where there was delays between when the month end and the reconciliations were performed. And then the last comment is just on the overall preparation of the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. There was some back and forth cleanup in that process for getting expenditures listed with the correct assistance listing number, certain expenditures not being grouped by the correct cluster, et cetera. So just an overall recommendation to really clean up and hone that process. And that's all that's there. Any questions on those items?
To accept this.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What is accepted? Thank you for that as well.
That finally concludes 2022. Now let's jump into 2023.
3 days left.
Still haven't met in some time.
So this is the booklet I'm about to go over. So looking at the agenda, we have our team, engagement team members. I'm going to go over our responsibilities as opposed to management's responsibilities. Independence, fraud, some of our methodology and approach towards our auditing procedures. I think we've covered single audit. We've guessed at what major programs we might have. And I've listed some new statements and a timeline. But going to number 2, I usually blow right through this, but we have significant changes to our staffing this year because we have new partners. And so we have partnered up. If you look right in the middle under central government, we've partnered with SPD CPAs, and that's Angelita Dobbs. And so she's going to be helping out in the central government audit, as well as Gina. She is from Hoskins and Company.
Very happy to see that.
Yeah.
I know them both.
And they're going to be working on the central government in constitutional offices and the general hospital. And we also, if you look over to the right, the second from the bottom, Metro Public Schools and Internal School Funds, we have Dawit, who is with KB&D, and he's going to be helping us with he's going to be the partner in charge over the internal school funds. We've worked with all three of them in the past, over the past 20 years, quite frankly, and so we're excited to work with them. We also have Kim Thomason coming back. We have moved her to kind of a supervisory role over the constitutional offices since she had managed that for the last 13 years. Now she's going to partner over that, and then we're also going to use her with the general hospital. So a lot of moving parts. Finally, at the top left, I want to mention Bruce Shepard. He's not one of our partner firms or an employee, but we use him as an outside consultant. He's employed by the AICPA to travel the country and teach updates on GASB, and we haven't really found anybody better than him ever. I mean, he's fantastic. He's like an encyclopedia on GASB. So if we need him to help with the ACFA or any technical questions, we plan on using him.
Do you all have any interns or apprenticeships available in your company?
We do. We have internships. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you recruit for those?
We were mostly through college fairs. We post online, openings. We have one now and one starting in a couple weeks, and we generally carry 1 or 2 interns in our audit practice throughout the year. So these days, to get internships, I mean, you got to get them when they're like sophomores in college.
Right.
Or the AICPA told me you got to start recruiting in high school. I mean, it's.
I mean, if they can start recruiting folks for Pee Wee football and all of that.
I told her the problem with recruiting in high school, most of the high schools around here that don't offer accounting classes. So I don't know. it's hard to find good folks these days. But we've been able to do it.
Well, I'm just wondering, I'm sure I do have some candidates, but also I would think that having some interns that may help a lot of our small nonprofit organizations that don't have the capacity, but just someone that can start them in the right way of putting their finances together so they will know what to do and how to do and be able to compete for some of the funding that's available.
Yeah, we're always up for
You just you can call me anytime you want to know.
Okay. Thank you. The next page, page 3, is responsibilities. The only thing I'm really going to read out of here is the first thing because I think it's important. Our responsibilities are expressing opinions about whether the financial statements prepared by management under the oversight of this audit committee are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with U.S. General Accepted Accounting Principles and government auditing standards, which, is our uniform guidance, single audit. Our responsibilities are to maintain independence and an attitude of professional skepticism throughout the audit. And we're also responsible to report to this audit committee any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, any non-compliance or fraud or any items that we feel that those charged with governance needs to know. Now, on the management side, their responsibility for fairly presenting the financial statements in accordance with GAAP and adopting proper accounting policies and establishing, maintaining effective internal controls and preventing fraud and disclosing to this committee and us any fraud or any significant deficiencies. So we're responsible for auditing, they're responsible for doing it. Page 4, under the AICPA's Code of Professional Conduct, Rule 101, and government auditing standards, we believe we are independent in fact and appearance. Next page, page 5, SAS 99 addresses fraud risk and how it relates to an audit. And we do not do a forensic audit, but there's certain procedures that we need to do and that we have to report to this committee and to management if we do find. And some of the things we do, first thing we do is gather information. We have to learn the client, we have to learn where the controls are, and we have to brainstorm amongst our team of what we find. And what we find is mostly with SAS 99 is inquiry, not just with the accounting staff, but with all aspects of the government, whether it be accounting, finance, or something totally irrelevant to accounting. We respond to those risks, and we identify what those risks are, and we design our audit procedures around that potential fraud risk. One of the other things we do is test for management override. Obviously, if there is fraud, a lot of times it's management overriding controls, good controls that are in existence. So we're looking for those things that are overriding, whether it be through manual adjusting entries. That's a high-risk area usually because it kind of circumvents internal controls. And then obviously we're reviewing current and prior year estimates to look for any kind of inappropriate bias. And then finally, throughout our audit, we're collaborating amongst ourselves and correlating this information based on what we see in those audit procedures. So we don't have, one of our partners that identifies something on one place and somebody else in another place. And if we don't put them together, we might identify fraud. If we don't, we wouldn't. So collaboration needs to occur. Page 6 is a flow chart of our audit methodology and approach, which on 7 and 8 I'll get into a little bit more detail about our audit planning and risk assessment, our control evaluation, and substantive testing, and then finally our completion. So on page 7, I mentioned risk before. Our plan, when we do our audit planning, we're assessing for high risk areas, and then we're developing our audit approach around that. So every year our audit changes just a little bit different depending on what's going on in the government. And we can either audit this risk. We audit this risk in two different ways, whether we test controls around certain items or whether we do substantive testing. A lot of our substantive testing is confirming investments, confirming cash, vouching, invoices for additions to major capital items. So anytime you can go to a third party and verify something, that's really the best audit evidence you can have. But on the other side of it, control evaluation and testing, like cash receipts, property tax billings, purchasing and disbursements, employee compensation, these kind of things we can derive a certain set of controls in place, and then we can test those controls. And we can do it for a stat sample where we can get within 95 or 99% sure that that's happening across all those transactions. So it's a combination of both in this audit, between control testing and substantive testing. Page 8 is our single audit. Katie covered that in detail. I'll point out two things. We expect, it will be low risk, so we have to cover 20% of federal expenditures rather than 40%. As Katie mentioned, we had 12 major programs last year. We've identified 5 right here in the middle of the page that we expect to audit. There may be more, but that's what we've preliminarily identified. Page 9 is just significant activity and issues. There's always around grants, there's always significant activity. We know that's going to be a major item. Capital improvements or capital projects, generally that's a major area. And then we put accounts receivable here just to follow up on the significant deficiencies to make sure they're covered. There will be added more. As we do our planning, there'll be more areas that we identify and that we really dig in deep on. Page 10, as Katie mentioned, there were no material weaknesses. If we did have a material weakness, I will note that your single audit would go up to, you would be a high-risk auditee, which means we'd have to cover 40% of federal expenditures. Significant deficiencies do not make the government be high risk. We can still be low risk, but material weaknesses would make us need to go up. Now, Metro was a high risk for 10 years of us doing the audit. In the last few years, done a really good job, and they've been low risk, which helps us and the city. And then we did not have any compliance findings during 2022. Page 11 is new GASB's coming up. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but probably the one that has the biggest impact, and Janine is the subscription-based information technology arrangements, which is GASB 96. It's a similar standard to the lease standard from last year, if you remember, where leases came on the books as an asset and an offsetting liability and flowed through the P&L, if you will. This is basically the same thing except for subscription-based IT arrangements. So Janine and crew are accumulating that information, if you're not already.
We're done. We're not done, but we've accumulated and processing.
We expect that to be a material number.
Yeah, we do.
An area of emphasis for us.
It was like triple leases.
Yeah. Page 12 is our timeline. Not a whole lot of difference, except that hopefully we will get the ACFR out and the single audit out a little earlier.
We did good on the game.
We did. Page 13 is just our deliverables. We have quite a few. And 14 is if you ever need to reach us. Jennifer was going to come today. She's on PTO. She's on vacation. I'm not sure where she is. Florida. Yeah, I don't know where in Florida, but she's with her family. So, but she will be the principal on the uniform guidance audit as well. Meet again this year. So that's our audit plan for 2023. Welcome any questions. Feel out to us anytime. We'll pretty much be working on the audit from now till the end of the year. So anytime's a good time.
Thank you for your presentation, Sam. Any action was taken? The next agenda item is a discussion of Vice Mayor Schuman's request for an audit.
If you remember back when we approved the annual audit plan in February, Vice Mayor Schulman brought up that he had sent in a request related to council does a lot of ordinances, a lot of resolutions. What is the monitoring after that action happens to make sure that those, whatever was approved actually comes to fruition and is reported back to council in some form, or is there any monitoring around it to make sure that it happens, whether that be grant spending or whether that be additions to contracts or anything like that. We didn't initially put it on the audit plan with the intention of speaking with him to make sure that this was something we could scope because it was just sent in an email. We kind of left a placeholder within the audit plan for additional requests. So after speaking with him, we think that this is a good audit to do to make sure that with so many actions happening at council meetings, the impact of what happens at those council meetings, somebody needs to be overseeing it. And there's processes around it to make sure that those processes flow all the way through down to the departments to make sure that they know the actions that are to be taken, as well as once those actions are taken, are they reported back to council so that there's monitoring by council, or whether it's a committee or a board. But how does a council member know that it has happened, and how do they look into it? So look for inefficiencies or any areas that that Metro could improve on that. So with that, then of course he comes in when we're talking about this.
Are you talking about me?
We're talking about the audit that you requested.
Thank you.
And so we wanted to bring that back to you all because any changes to our audit plan have to go through the audit committee. And if you would be willing to adjust or add that one to the audit plan, it wouldn't cause any removal of another audit or changes. It would just be the addition of that to our audit plan.
So we need a motion to add that to the annual audit plan.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I had a question.
Discussion?
The audit of the oversight of what council happens, the process to make
The
sure.
thing that I suggested. It's a
So
wonderful
how did you rein in the scope?
Well, the scope would be, we would look at a period of time within the council, like within council meetings and things that have happened within the council meetings. Some of them are going to be thrown out somewhat if they're just an easement or a manhole cover or something like that, but there are other ones that were important. We would survey council members also probably to say which ones are high on your radar. But then also, once we do that, we're looking at how did it get communicated? So once it happened at the council meeting, who communicated it all the way down to the department that either requested that action, or if there's a department that is responsible for that action, even if they didn't know, how did we make sure, which usually, at least from our perspective, when we've been involved in legislation, it's typically the clerk is one who notifies us. But then what happens? So then once you know, how do you carry it out? Is there any process to report it back? In a lot of cases, I don't know that there is. And start looking at other cities. What do other cities do? What do other cities' processes? Sometimes it's that another department may look at it. So grants, Office of Financial Accountability may be looking at grants. So it's going to be a mix, and it's going to be somewhat decentralized. Like you said, it's going to be a larger scope and talking to multiple departments, but trying to rein in kind of almost buckets of what is council looking at, what are the processes around those buckets, and how is the communication happening.
I guess it feels like, as the finance director, not as a board member, that every single thing that we do is reporting in some form or fashion in the ACFR, or if it's bonds, there's a whole process in the charter about reporting. Like, I just wonder how long it's going to take you to go legislation by legislation to see, okay, there actually is a process for that already. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't want your job. It sounds like a whole lot of work for something that I know, because we report on every single thing.
And in some cases, but like I said, if we kind of bucket it where it's almost finance, y'all are going to have different committees. If it is a change in a contract and it went through legal or it went through something, how do we make sure that that flowed all the way down to the actual contract? And you're making sample selections. We're going to have to take a cross-section of the different types of legislation that happen to make sure. And then, looking at committee meetings and making sure things are discussed, there are some things that will take longer because approval of certain funding that may span multiple years if it's a grant. But during that, how are they responding? Or how are they reporting it back? And like I said, it may be Office of Financial Accountability. We sit there and say, well, they're looking into it. There's reports that are out there as far as them monitoring it.
So this would be a good example would be the COVID funding or the CARES funding that was received to ensure that it was fairly distributed.
Yes, I'll respond. So the whole idea from this was we approved, I'm not really worried about the sewer manhole and covers, but I was
I would
worried.
love to stop having to sign those. It is what it have to do
I
with
would
me.
like to quit having to read those. Because I get the words all mixed up. I'm just flying
That and the
through
fire
them anyway.
hydrants.
And then I make Quante read them sometimes because it's fun. But I think the idea was we pass a lot of these grants and things, and every so often, and I don't, since I just came in, I'm not sure how far we've gotten, but sometimes we may act on something or throw something into the mix, and I think what I'm looking for is, first of all, okay, so we approved this grant. Whatever happened to it? Did it ever do what it was supposed to do? And did anybody ever get the results back? But every so often, the council will throw something in, like we want a report back, or we want something done on top of this. And sometimes over the last several years, sometimes you'll find that either the communication doesn't get passed along, or it just doesn't happen. And so the idea was, let's take a look. We're not really looking for anything in particular. We're looking to see, is this stuff going out like it's supposed to, on time, procedurally correct? What are the results of, did we do what we said we were going to do, and what were the results? And if the council threw something out there like, we wanted to report back, did it ever come back to us? That's what we're looking for.
I fear you guys. So when you tell me to report, I report.
Well, we fear you too. It's a joint fear relationship.
Gotcha. Okay.
What's your expectation of the final result of performing this type of an audit?
I think
Will that be in the form of recommendations?
yes, it would still be a normal performance audit. Like I said, it would be reporting back on if something didn't. So we'd make some selections of whether certain legislation got all the way down there. And if it didn't, where was the hole? Where was the bottleneck? If we survey council and council members say, we don't ever hear back on things, where is the disconnect in that communication? And so sometimes it's adding an additional process of, is there some type of, I'm just throwing random things out here, but like, is there a tracker out there? This legislation was signed. Is somebody in council's office or somewhere else, or the clerk or somewhere else, watching it to make sure that there's reporting related to it if that is needed? Or is it just a matter of the department's report back or something like that? So it'd be recommendations like that.
Other questions?
I think y'all already voted, but I'll vote
No, we
yes.
haven't voted yet. You stopped us. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we're ready to move into the audits, the audit reports that we have.
Alrighty. Well, back on March 30th, we released the audit of the Homeless Impact Division. Our former auditor, Innocent Nardby, did the work on this. He's now with the Finance Department. So we thank Innocent for what he did for us, and we miss him. And also, we have April Calvin here, who is the new director of, it's not the Homeless Impact Division anymore, it's the Office of Housing and Homeless Services. Okay. So we thank her for her work and assisting us with this audit, and her and her team. So this audit started, if you remember, the Housing NOLA performance study started around the same time. We had an idea that they'd be doing more performance and service-related work. I think so. We made the decision kind of to focus more on internal controls and more compliance requirements when we did our audit. I'm just going to briefly run through the objectives and some of the testing we looked at, and then the observations and recommendations we had. So the first objective was to determine whether the Homeless Impact Division effectively coordinated the governance and oversight responsibilities of the Homelessness Planning Council. Some of the testing we did for this is just review the policies and procedures to ensure all the HUD required policies and procedures were included, ask questions around the encampment management plan. In 2019, a strategic community plan was adopted, so we looked at the progress that was made with that and see where that was and what documentation was maintained around that. The second and third objectives were focused on the homeless management information system, just whether it was being used to effectively coordinate service and programs delivery, and whether there were controls around access to the system. So for that, we reviewed coordinated entry policies and procedures, reviewed some coordinated entry performance on various types of referrals in the system, asked questions about what tools from HUD were used at all, whether those were being used to monitor, evaluate, and improve the system, and then just reviewed access to the system in general. So our observations, the first one I do is the strategic community plan. So that plan was adopted in 2019. The pandemic hit, kind of priorities shifted. Coming out of the pandemic, the decision was made to kind of do a refresh on that strategic community plan. So our observation there is just that basically once that is finalized, it wasn't finalized as of the report, I'm not sure if it is now, but just to make sure a procedure is in place for the regular monitoring and reviewing of the plan for the Homelessness Planning Council, just report back the status and just make sure that any implementation status documentation is maintained. Observation B was coordinated entry policies and procedures. And that was basically the HUD has 23 requirements to be included in coordinated entry policies and procedures. We found that there was only 12 that were included, and so the recommendation was there is just to take a look and get the rest of those adopted, the requirements. So during the period of the audit, there was not an encampment management plan in place. I think it's important to note, too, that when we started the audit, there was a lot of turnover, leadership turned over, so the audit period had different leadership in place than, I think April started a little bit before we started the audit. But there was an encampment management plan in place during the audit. We made that recommendation, and it was already implemented by the report being released. They do have one in place now. Observation D and E had to do with the HMIS system. Innocent looked at whether users were going through the proper steps to get access to the statement, and we found some instances where the required documentation to get access was either missing or incomplete. Also, the system is stored in the cloud, so one thing that we always look for in that situation is whether a SOC report was obtained by the provider, make sure all the controls are good for being stored in the cloud. We could not get a SOC report for that, so we just made the recommendations that just make sure you go through all the steps for HMIS users, and then a good best practice is just to get every year, just ask for a new SOC report if you're having your system stored in the cloud. And then finally, when we're doing an audit that involves a board or commission, we like to go through, look at the meeting minutes, help us get an understanding of what went on during the audit period. There were 8 Homelessness Planning Council meeting minutes that weren't able to be provided, and so we just made the recommendation just moving forward, make sure that those are documented and maintained. All in all, we had 5 high-risk recommendations, 2 medium-risk recommendations. All were accepted, and I think all were accepted. All had been implemented, except for one, which was set to be implemented at the end of this year. So if you have any questions about our audit or questions for April, I'll open that up now.
I don't have any questions, but I would like to see, or think it may be helpful if we had percentages on here in terms of the client level, based on the different populations. I think it'll be a much telling story about, especially when you look at the families, the family rapid and the youth family in comparison.
That data was pulled from our HMIS system, and I'm sure we can work on getting percentages.
Happened with the minutes. And obviously I've been to those meetings before. I'm just glad that we survived those things. But was somebody responsible for trying to keep up with them and it just didn't work? Or,
Well, one, I'll say thanks for sharing that this audit period was under prior leadership. When I first walked in the door, I was not happy to see Innocent, but I'll say here later on, I'm very thankful that there was an audit between leadership because, that those minutes lived on a personal laptop with prior leadership, and they walked out the door with her.
can we go get that person, steal their laptop? I mean, not steal their laptop. Yeah, it's being recorded.
Well, you have access to that person.
Okay. So now whoever, somebody is assigned to take the minutes and they don't walk off.
No, and they're on Metro laptop, saved on a Metro server, and our PIO actually uploads it to our webpage. And so July 1, there will be the Office of Homeless Service webpage that will no longer live behind MSS's webpage, so it'll be an easier way to access them as well.
Okay. I'm glad you're there.
Thank you.
I'm going to blame it on Sally. It's all her fault.
With the policies, the HUD policies and procedures, the 12 out of 23, is it that they just weren't in the manual and that you're actually following all of them, or?
I'd say correct. A lot of them were being followed in kind of reality of practice, but were not actually documented in the policies and procedures manual. So some of that was updated. There were some that were additionally implemented as well. But I'd say a lot of them were being done in practice, but were not documented correctly.
And they have since been added to the Policy and Procedures Manual, and that's open for public comment at this period.
Okay.
Other questions? Thank you. Thank you for your work.
The next one is the follow-up audit of juvenile court clerk and the victims trust account management. We initially did this audit back in March of 2021, and there were 8 recommendations that came from it. 3 of those were high risk and 5 of them were medium risk. Once they were all reported back to us as being implemented, we sent out Nan Wen to do our follow-up audit of them. What we found was 4 were completely implemented. 3 of them were partially implemented, and then 1 was still open. The 3 that were partially implemented, through discussions with the juvenile court clerk, it sounds like and it seems like that they are performing these recommendations and have implemented them. However, we have to be able to verify something. And there was just no documentation for us to actually physically verify that they had occurred. So as soon as we pointed that out to the juvenile court clerk, he's going to start recording these things, these controls, to make sure that at least next time that we come out there, we can check them real quick. The last one that was fully open, he admitted it was an oversight. It was the last recommendation we had about reconciling monthly. As soon as that was pointed out, he started doing that at the end of each month. We have to give that control time to operate for us to be able to go back out and verify it. So all 4 of these should be implemented rather quickly.
So do you go back out again?
Yes, we will. We may not issue another report, but we will go out there and physically verify them.
Questions?
So we did 2 follow-up audits with the trustee. The first was for an audit we did back during the pandemic. It was released December of 2020. And they, James Carson, Jim Carson with our office, and Laura Henry worked on this. And everything went well. We found that they implemented all our recommendations from that audit. So those are all implemented and closed out. No issues there. And then, so we talked about the investigation earlier in the meeting. We did issue 8 recommendations for that. 7 were verified to be implemented and closed. There was 1 partially implemented. And we talked a little bit before about how it was not determined. The reason wasn't determined why the cash was missing. One of the theories was that a large $20,000 cash payment came in. Maybe the person miscounted it, and that's where the money went missing. So the the recommendation there was when these large single taxpayer cash payments come in, just have to use the cash machine, have 2 people count it. And they did have procedures in place where they were doing that. It's just we couldn't verify it because no one was signing. There was no documentation that was being done. So moving forward, we tried to give them credit that they did take steps to have the 2-person integrity on it. Moving forward, they're just going to have the both people sign. So then if something comes up missing, we have documentation to look at, and then we can also go back and verify it. So that's why that one is still open. But everything else was good and implemented. So.
How often do people bring in, like,
It doesn't. That's another problem we had is because
cap on the amount of a cash payment or something?
I believe during the audit period, during the investigation, someone came in with a large cash payment. I don't think it happens often, so it was hard. That's another reason it was hard to verify because we have a kind of a limited scope when we come in and do it, and we just have to hope that someone comes in with a large cash payment. So that's why we couldn't verify it this time, but it doesn't happen often. And that's another reason.
No, but I was just thinking, why would somebody do that?
I don't know. That's so dangerous for
Why would
them.
somebody do that? And then, are there? Maybe we don't say this online, but is there proper security? I know there's security in the building, but I don't like the fact that people are walking around with that type of cash.
Yeah.
I got $1 in my pocket right now.
More than I have.
Yeah, there you go.
And the reason why that, right, because it did happen. It happened during the initial 2 days where the money went missing. Someone did bring in a lot of cash. So.
Other questions? Discussion? Thank you. Okay, our next agenda item relates to the auditor's annual performance review. And we're a little behind on this because we did not have a meeting in April due to the lack of a quorum. So if we want to follow the same process that we've done, historically, at least last year, I'm not sure how far back beyond that it might go, is we would go through a process to do a performance evaluation. We would each receive one. We would complete it, get it back in, get it tabulated, and then at our next meeting decide on the merit increase. There's a cost of living increase that's already in effect, and then we would, based on those performance evaluations, recommend and approve a merit increase, which would be retroactive back to July 1st. So our discussion points for today are, do we want to follow the same process we've done historically and go through the evaluation process? Do we want to do something that circumvents that this year because we've missed a meeting and go ahead and recommend a merit increase?
Is the next meeting going to be the same group of people, or will it be post-election?
It would be post-election. But when Mr. Bates and I talked about this yesterday, going through the agenda, there is the option, unless Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, but if it was sent out like this month or July, I guess, and you all filled it out, it would be presented to the next audit committee, but with y'all's input.
Which would be my recommendation, get the input from those who have been working on and know what her performance has been, and then we can deal with it at the next meeting. Whoever might be there at that point in time.
So when do these terms all end?
Possibly in August.
They're all set up for August is when.
August 31.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then y'all's are ex officio as far as
Positions.
Well, I guess the question is, do we want to do the thing and then meet in August? But because everybody on here would still be on the audit committee, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't want to wait and then all of a sudden we've got a whole new group of people on here. I'd rather go ahead and take care of it by August.
I mean, I hate meeting, but I would too. Like, I live in the land of the pragmatic, and like I always assume the worst in people. Like, just because we're going to give them scores doesn't mean they have to follow them. So like, if we can do it as a group before we disband, I think we should try.
So if we go ahead and get out the performance evaluations right away, what would that do to us to move the September meeting forward to August?
we can move the September meeting forward. The September meeting is important because that is one that Crossland presents at an executive session, correct? So we would still probably try to have a September meeting.
So do an August meeting.
Now, there may be a reason for that one. There may be delays depending on appointments to the committee from council when those happen. But we can have an August meeting. We can have a September meeting as well.
Can we do it in July? Like, how long is it going to take us to fill out your? I remember being a spreadsheet and not super robust.
Yeah.
So council won't reconvene until October.
Okay.
So we won't have new people to pick until October.
I was thinking that too.
So we want to get this stuff done quickly, and we could meet again in July.
Yeah.
Okay. What you do?
Turn and burn. Turn and burn.
Where is this land that you live in? This land of the pragmatic.
The only place I know.
I just see you walking home, and it's like, here it is, pragmatic land.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will send out meeting date options for us to have that one. We may move up. It may not just strictly be the performance evaluation. We may put some audits on there as well, since we had deferred some from this meeting as well. And if we're going to have to wait till
Come on, girl.
I know. Well, if we're going to have to wait till at least October.
Remember, she lives in the land of the pragmatic.
In the I don't like to meet world, too.
Yeah, that's right. She lives in lots of different worlds.
So it won't just be that only. Okay.
Status report?
Yes, okay, so the recommendation implementation, we had 22 recommendations that were due before this meeting. 17 of them were implemented or reported as implemented, so they went into our implementation tracker to determine whether or not we need to do a follow-up audit. 5 of them requested revised dates. All 5 of them are software related. Amanda, who was here but has left, mentioned for the ones related to the public works audit, the convenience centers, it is getting a software that they are building in-house to make sure that they can collect credit card and debit cards. And it's just been a process, but they hope to have that done by the fall. And then for our emergency communications audit, they were unhappy with the external vendors, so now they are working to internally develop something to meet that recommendation. So that's been delayed because of their software problems. Are there any questions on that? Okay. Next is our ongoing projects. We have 11 projects that are going on right now. 6 of them are in the draft reporting phase. We have issued 6 audits since the beginning of our audit plan year, and so we are on pace to meet our goal of 17 for the year. We've gotten 5 allegations through our fraud hub requests or just through other channels. Only 1 is still open in which we're doing an investigation, but we don't talk about those as they're ongoing. So, any questions on that? Next is our budget status. We are coming to the end of the year. If you look at our budget within the workbook, we're significantly under budget, most of that being because of staffing. We have had turnover as well as we had some open positions throughout the year. The other expenses don't reflect a couple of large invoices that we have coming in for consulting and software, so we will actually be closer to even on those. But for staffing leading into the next part of it, we unfortunately in April, as Seth mentioned, fortunately for Metro, Innocent Dogby, who was a senior within our office, was approached by finance to become the payroll manager for Metro. We're very excited for him, but very sad for us.
Coached. I thought he came on. Yeah.
What did you, in this, what I would say would be a trade, what did you all get in return?
Oh,
I brought cake today.
Unfortunately,
Love ice cream cake, not just cake.
He is
It's like Major League Baseball. You know, if you trade, you got to get something back.
I'm learning, so now I know next time.
But it might be okay with the cake. It might be okay.
It's good to know.
He is a big loss to our office.
He's a great game for ours.
He is.
Free agent.
We're very happy that his talent was recognized, and he was with our office for 7 years, and we were lucky to have him at the time. So when
It didn't take you long to get him off of this thing.
So when he left, we were then down to 8 staff, so we needed to hire to fill those positions. We posted an auditor 1 position, hoping to get 1 person out of the pool, not sure of what we would get. We actually had a really good pool, so we were able to hire 2 auditor 1s. We hired Justine Cunningham, who's a recent TSU graduate with a criminal justice background, because we're exploring, after going and talking to other audit shops, diversity of background. Not just sticking with the auditing and the accounting backgrounds can be very helpful, especially in performance audits. And so she briefly worked for Reliance Bernstein before coming to us. And then we also hired Jeremy Waldorf, who is getting his master's in accounting from Indiana University and through their online program. And he, as he made a
Sounds
career...
like we're going to steal him too. Once he finishes that master's.
His background, he is actually changing careers. His background was primarily in retail management, traveling all over the U.S., fixing stores. And so he has also been a great addition. And they started at the beginning of June. Since we're a small office that doesn't have a lot of capacity, once we get them onboarded and into a good spot, that's when we hope to post the other positions that we have, especially knowing that our pools are getting better as time has gone on, since we've posted in the past and just didn't get the response that we were hoping for.
Where's Bill? Where's Bill?
He is at camp right now.
Camp?
He is at a church camp. So,
okay.
But he's coming back. He's still here.
He's counseling, not
Yes,
attending.
exactly.
Where is Barry Dunn?
He's still in Maine. So that's all for me. And now the other item that's not necessarily listed under administrative items that Teresa needs to go.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of changes in state laws that were adopted by this most recent legislature to the Open Meetings Act. And so it requires Metro boards and commissions and other cities as well, not just Metro, to maybe change or refine the way they conduct their meetings just a little bit. The first change, I don't think, will be any change change really for this body. It's just that agendas must be finalized and made available within 48 hours of the meeting, and I think that they make that available
6 days.
well before that period is required. But the bigger change is that they're now requiring all public bodies to have a public comment period at the, well, it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the meeting, although legal is recommending you do it at the beginning of your meeting. And what we're also recommending is that you are allowed to, and we recommend that you should, set some parameters around how that public comment period would be handled. I don't want to scare you. I do have 2 boards and commissions that already do this and have historically, and a lot of times either no one will speak or it'll just be a couple of people, and so don't be too scared that you're going to have like endless long meetings with like lots of commentators. Their comments should be pertinent items on the agenda. They should, you can require them to like sign up beforehand to be able to speak at the public comment period. You can limit like most of our boards and commissions limit speakers to either 2 or 3 minute periods to talk. So you could provide that kind of limit, and you could also provide a limit on the total number of speakers and or the total period during which they can speak. For example, Eric and I just had one that they decided that they would allow 8 speakers for 2 minutes each for a total period of 16 minutes. So you all can make a decision like that about how you would want your public comment periods to be conducted.
Is there a best practices?
Well, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, so the memo that's in your packet is legal's kind of recommendation of what we've concluded our best practices are, which is what I just tried to summarize for you. So as far as like specific numbers, no, because this is a new requirement that was just adopted by the state. So you know, we have practices that we've seen in the past because, like I said, some boards and commissions did this voluntarily before it was required. So the ones that we do that had this before it was required was Farmers Market and Fair Board have always done this, or not always, but like have for many years done this. And so, like I said, you know, they do tend to keep it to, I think, roughly 15 minutes. Council itself has adopted some rules for this, and I don't remember exactly. Y'all's were a little bit longer. Was it maybe?
We actually allow 10 speakers for 2 minutes each, I think. I think that's what it is. We had started with 3 minutes, and
So that might be a guiding thought. Like the other board that did the shorter time period, their thought was, well, if that's good enough for council, we don't have to do quite as much. So.
and from here on out, starting next weekend,
yes, July
we have
1.
to have this.
This is July 1 effective.
Okay.
That's correct.
So we actually.
So if you meet in July or August, you will be having this.
So we need to put it on our public notice, and then I would think that at least for now, we need to say that we're going to limit it to, I don't know, I mean, if it's 2 minutes each, you wouldn't limit it to 15 minutes.
You very well may get no one, but you need the rules in place just in case.
So the things that we need to come to a decision on are number of speakers, length of time to speak, period, or how they sign up to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Anything besides those 3 items?
So you can either limit number of speakers or overall time period for the public comment period. I think the former might be better just because you don't want to, like if everybody's supposed to have 2 or 3 minutes and you have like a 15-minute time period and somebody's like cut off in the middle by result of that, that's not ideal. So,
am I reading this last paragraph right? Should the committee wish to set restrictions, you can do it at the meeting. So we don't have to come up with a time right now. Like, couldn't we just have the public comment period?
some
before
boards.
every meeting, if 100 people show up, then that day,
Yeah,
you get a minute?
in general, a lot of times the chair, for example, has a certain amount of discretion over kind of the conduct of a meeting, keeping order and all of that. And so generally when we've said 2 or 3 minute limits or things like that, it's just something the chair has said at the beginning of the meeting, this is what you're required. Some people are required to sign up or announce their name and address before they speak to show that they are Metro residents and have reason to be interested in the matters that they're talking about. And so yes, you can certainly require any or all of that. I think, like I said, it's and you can require it today, or you can require. We have other boards and commissions that in between the state adopting this and July 1, they didn't even have a meeting scheduled. So some of our boards and commissions will be notified of this at their first meeting after it's implemented rather than before. So y'all are getting in under the wire, kind of.
Great.
Just food for thought. You don't have to do it today, but you do need to at some point.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think because we know about it and we're having a meeting, I think we should notice that we would have open public comment. I think it's probably beneficial, at least for the first meeting, and then maybe at the meeting we do it, we can take another look at it. But just in case somebody comes in and says, hey, you have to let us talk, we should probably limit it to 2 minutes each, 8 speakers, 16 minutes, 16 minutes overall. And for the first meeting, I'm not sure if we have, I think people maybe just sign up when they come. I'm not sure if we want to have them start reaching out to you, or maybe we should have a better process about how to do this.
I think having a sign-in sheet is fine.
Just having a sign-up sheet.
And just out of curiosity, based on something you said, is there a process to determine if they are a resident of Metro?
So some boards and commissions do require, and this is not within this guidance, it's just a thing people do, that they do require that you say your address when you stand up to speak. I think, does council require that? I think they do. And I think it's, like I said, just to show that you're not some, outside person coming in to influence policy without really having any reason to be interested in it. But it's not required, I don't think.
Mr. Chairman, I would just make the motion that for the first meeting that we have after this, we follow those guidelines, 2 minutes each, 16 minutes overall, which would allow 8 speakers, sign-up sheet at the meeting. And then at that meeting, we review whether we want to do something different. But, and maybe Lauren can look at it and figure out if there's a better way to do it, or Terry can bring in something. But I don't think you're going to have a lot of people coming in here.
Learn by doing, because we're going to have as various different boards and commissions implement this going forward as their meetings fall after July 1. We will find out how it goes.
We do have a period in council meetings, and the last meeting we got 0.
Yeah, and like I said, the one I wouldn't worry about it too much, because the ones that we've been doing in the past, very often it's no people at all, or 1 or 2 people.
So do each of the council committee meetings have to have it too?
Yeah.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Very good.
Any items for consideration for future meetings? All right, the public meeting is adjourned.
Do we have to have an executive?
We have no executive committee today.
Move to adjourn.
Congratulations on your appointment.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.